5 people, one lie. And I was the only fool who believed everything was real. But let me start from the beginning. Before the tears, before the betrayal, before I found out that everyone I loved was keeping the same secret. It started with a red dress.
8 months, that's how long I had been hiding in that room. 8 months since he broke me. I stopped eating. I stopped going out. I stopped calling my friends. I would sit on that bed for hours, scrolling through old photos of us, torturing myself with memories of a man who forgot I existed the moment he walked away. I wasn't living. I was just existing. And I had accepted that this was going to be my life now. But God knew I needed Zara, my ride or die since JSS1. This girl, this crazy, beautiful, stubborn girl, showed up at my door on her own birthday, wearing a green dress that could stop traffic, holding a red dress like she was handing me a weapon. She kicked open my door and said, "Get up." I said no. She said, "Kioma Adaez, it is my birthday, mine, and you, my person since we were 14, want to sit here looking like a heartbroken ghost?" I told her I wasn't in the mood. This girl snatched my phone from my hand and said, "You have been mourning for 8 months. You've cried, you've journaled, you've played Adele on repeat. So many times even Adele herself would tell you to stop." Then she sat beside me, took my hand, looked me in the eye, and she said something I will never forget. "Babe, I know it hurt you. I was there. I held you when you couldn't even eat. But you can't let one person steal the rest of your life. That's not healing, that's punishment." I asked her, "What if I go out there and it happens again? What if I trust someone? And She didn't even let me finish. "Then I'll be right there, same way I was before." Then she held up that red dress like she was presenting a crown and said, "Tonight, you are wearing this dress and you are going to remind Lagos what they've been missing." I told her the dress was too much. She looked me dead in my eye and said, "Baby, you are too much. The dress is just catching up." I laughed. For the first time in 8 months, I laughed. She screamed something about 45 minutes and expensive perfume and not that body spray nonsense, and disappeared into my bathroom like a woman on a mission. And when she was gone, I stood in front of that mirror, holding that red dress against my chest, and I saw someone I had forgotten existed. Myself. I walked into that party, and I won't lie. The red dress was doing its job. Heads turned, I could feel it, but inside, I was still that girl from the bedroom, terrified, guarded. Zara got pulled into the crowd the second we arrived, and then I was alone. Again, standing at the edge, pretending I belonged. And that is when this man nearly destroyed my outfit, out of nowhere. This guy spins around and almost empties Chapman all over my dress. He looked at me with these big, panicked eyes and said, "If I had ruined that dress, I would have had to leave Lagos, maybe leave Nigeria entirely." His name was Emeka, and this man was comedy walking. He told me he once went to a wedding, sat in the parking lot for 3 hours, came inside only for jollof rice, took a cooler home, and left. I laughed so hard my stomach hurt. For the first time in months, I felt alive. Then he pointed to a corner of the rooftop and said, "My guy is over there, the quiet one. I think you two might vibe." I said no. He just walked backward, grinning, and said, "The breeze is better over there." And somehow, my feet followed before my brain decided. And then I saw him. He was sitting by the railing, looking out at the city, holding a glass he hadn't even touched. He wasn't loud, he wasn't performing. He was just still. And something about his stillness pulled me in. Emeka introduced us, and when our eyes met, I swear, the whole party went quiet. He said, "Hi." I said, "Hi." And that was it. 2 words and my whole world shifted. We talked for what felt like hours, about everything, about nothing. He was calm, attentive, he didn't try too hard. When I mentioned Zara, my best friend, something flickered across his face. Just for a second, then it was gone. I didn't think anything of it. I should have. When he asked for my number, our fingers touched, and neither of us pulled away. Then he looked at me and said, "I'm really glad you wore that red dress tonight." And I smiled. The real smile. The one I'd been hiding for 8 months. But here's the thing about beautiful moments. They blind you. You're so busy feeling, you forget to look. Because while I was standing there, falling for a man I'd known for 2 hours, across that rooftop, in the middle of the dancing, surrounded by people singing her happy birthday, Zara was watching. She saw his hand near mine. She saw me smiling that smile. And her face did something I'd never seen before. The laugh stayed on her lips, but her eyes died. Nobody noticed. Nobody except the universe. That night, I lay in bed still wearing that red dress, smiling at the ceiling like a fool. He texted. I texted back. He replied in seconds. I told myself I would never fall again. I swore it. But that night, something shifted. Something I couldn't stop. I didn't know it then. But while I was lying there, clutching my phone, falling asleep happy, Zara was in her bathroom, alone, the green dress wrinkled, the makeup destroyed, mascara running down her face like the tears had been waiting all night for permission to fall. She stood at that sink, gripping the porcelain, and whispered, "No, not him. Anyone but him." She picked up her phone, opened an old conversation, a name she never deleted, his name, with a heart emoji she never removed. She scrolled through old messages, sweet words, plans, pet names, a whole life she thought they were building, all the way down to the very last message, sent by her. "Please don't leave me. I'll be better. I promise. I should." He never replied. She slid down that wall, sat on that cold floor, and cried without making a single sound, because the man she never got over had just walked into her best friend's life at her party, and she couldn't say a word. I thought I'd found love. I had no idea what I had actually walked into, and this is only the beginning.